Ultimate Spider-Man, issue number 14 from Marvel Comics. So this series has been freaking amazing so far. One of my favorite ongoing series to read. The best thing to come out of Spider-Man in the longest time. And this issue gets freaking crazy. This is probably the craziest issue in this series so far. We start off with Black Cat attacking Spider-Man. I say Spider-Man, but it's actually Richard Parker. Peter Parker and Harry Osborn have been kidnapped and they're being hunted by Kraven. And in the meantime, Richard Parker is basically wearing an AI Spider-Man suit to hold down the fort while his dad's missing. And Black Cat believes that this is the Spider-Man that pushed her dad off a building and caused him to become injured and being forced into retirement. And they start attacking each other. Well, more like Black Cat attacking Richard while Richard's trying to dodge and tell her, like, hey, I have no idea who your dad is. I've never met the guy before. And even if I did, I would not push him off a building. And for some reason, he decides to depower his mask and reveal himself, which I thought was kind of weird. Richard always seems to be kind of like a smart kid. I don't know why you would want to reveal your identity to a villain, but he does so. And Black Cat's like, hey, you look young. How old are you? And he says 15. And he asks her how old she is, and she says 16. And she's like, oh, so you're really not Spider-Man? He's like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that this entire time. Yeah, basically, they get to talking. It happens later on in the issue, but they start chatting it up. She basically reveals her life. Her dad, the original Black Cat, is part of a supervillain group that runs a city, and he got hurt. And instead of losing his territory, he basically entrusted his territory to her, who he's been training in secret. And so she's like, you know, I'm not exactly a super villain. And he's like, all right, whatever. And she wants to know his story. And he's kind of like, well, like, I'd love to tell you, but I'm a superhero. And that means I got to protect the people close to me. So we kind of seem to be hinting that there's going to be a relationship developing between the two of them because they're basically around the same age. We had a whole thing in 2 issues ago where Richard was basically talking to J. Jonah Jameson about how to attract women. He wants to have a girlfriend. He's like, how do I go about doing that? And it seems like it would be like a weird, random thing to bring up if you're not going to take that anywhere. So I feel like that's basically what they're doing here, which should put an answer to the question on if this Peter Parker is going to hook up with Black Cat anytime soon, which I thought was a very weird conversation for people to be having. I was never under that belief. This Peter Parker seems to be like, he's completely different from 616 Peter Parker. And this one is like 100% devoted to his wife. He loves the hell out of her. He's devoted to his family. I just can't see this Peter Parker shacking up with another woman. And the fact that this Peter Parker is like mid-30s, late 30s. In Black Cat, she seemed to be very young. I mean, here she actually finally gives her age, 16. But before then, she seemed like she would be on the young side. I was thinking maybe like early 20s at the oldest, maybe late teens. But for some reason, there were still people online thinking that there was going to be a possible love triangle between the three. Between Peter Parker, Mary Jane Watson Parker, and Alicia Hardy. And I'm just like, I don't think that's going to be the case. This Peter Parker does not seem like he's going to go down the Deathstroke route or the Eddie Brock route. Like, he's not going to be going after the underage girls. So I don't know why that was ever a conversation to begin with, but this issue should pretty much put it to rest, even though they didn't officially become a couple or anything like that. Like, I mean, they're barely friends. They're just chatting with each other. You can see that that's the direction that they're going to go, though. I would be really surprised if they don't have Richard and Black Cat hooking up at some point. So yeah, that takes care of all that. Meanwhile, we got Harry and Peter riding dinosaurs, which is just a really weird sentence. All Peter can think about is he knows about MJ and the kids. So he really wants to get the hell out of this place because he wants to make sure his family is okay because he's been missing for months. He hasn't seen his family in months. He's like, if they know who my family is, if Kraven knows, then maybe the rest of his group know. And if they do know, there's no one there to protect them. So they're trying to make their escape when Kraven shoots at them, causes Harry to injure his leg, so he's kind of hobbled. And I thought this was, I don't know, it's been forever since I've read anything with Kraven. I'll be honest with you guys. I was a huge Marvel fan growing up as a kid, and I read a bunch of Spider-Man stuff, but that was when I was a kid. And I'm not a kid anymore. Like, I'm almost 40. So it's been decades since I've read mainline Spider-Man stuff. In fact, pretty much after One More Day, I gave up on Spider-Man. I read like a couple stuff here and there, but I was like, you know what? I'm done. So I might be remembering this wrong, but it seems weird for Kraven to be hunting them with guns. Like he seems to be one of those where it's like he prides himself on being a hunter and he wants to get them with like he's fine with weapons, but he seems to be more of like old school stuff like bows and arrows and swords and spears. At least that's the way I remembered it. But maybe I'm just remembering it wrong. Maybe I'm confusing that with like the cartoon version, where of course they didn't really have the villains using guns because it was a kid's cartoon. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It just seems weird to see Kraven with a gun, like a sniper rifle, trying to shoot his targets. Because I would think he would want to do it like hand to hand in some way. But yeah, Peter basically realizes that he has spider senses. Like he doesn't know what this is, but he's like, I noticed that whenever something dangerous is about to happen, my senses go off. So, Harry, since you can't really run because you're hobbled right now, I'm going to distract Kraven long enough for you to run into the tree line. And so he starts dodging bullets as Harry makes his way into the tree line where they meet Mole Man. And Mole Man basically says, I'm going to help you guys out. And some of his little mole minions show up. And Mole Man basically explains that this is my place of peace, and I'm not a fan of the fact that Kraven is using it as a hunting ground because he's disturbing that peace. I am not going against Kingpin. I would never betray him. But what Kraven is doing now, Kingpin has no idea about it. So if I help you guys escape, I'll just basically be screwing over Kraven. I wouldn't be screwing over Kingpin. And we both get what we want. You guys get to leave and go home, and my place of peace gets to go back to being a place of peace, and I don't have to deal with Kraven going around murdering my animals. So some of Mole Man's little gremlin dudes take Harry and Peter away and like just take him through the tunnels while Mole Man talks with Mysterio, who, in case anyone doesn't remember, this is a female Mysterio. This isn't the original Mysterio. I think this is his daughter. And Kraven has been watching this whole interaction. So he knows that Mole Man is helping Peter and Harry. And Peter and Harry decide to start setting up some traps. They have found a way to get their collars off, and they have rigged some trees so that basically they're trying to hope to catch Kraven in an explosion. And we get a point where Harry's like, instead of leaving, why don't we stay here and fight? Let's stand our ground. Let's take this guy out. Let's kill him. And Peter's like, we've been over this. MJ, the kids, and Gwen, they're out there unprotected. We have no idea what's coming for them. And Harry reveals that that's actually not the case. Gwen's not in danger. We basically have this kind of ransom insurance policy where if someone, gets kidnapped, the insurance company will pay the kidnappers to make sure I'm returned. But we've kind of gone a little bit more than that. Basically, if one of us is in danger, if one of us gets kidnapped or anything, then there's a danger liability. And what that happens is that the person who has not been kidnapped, so Gwen in this case, will get an extreme level of security. It'll basically be like invisible to the person being protected, but there's going to be a bunch of protocols that have been activated, and she's going to be completely protected. Otto created this protocol. He has it for me. He has it for Gwen. He would have done the same for you, but Peter's like, yeah, I don't trust him, so only MJ and the kids are really in danger. So Peter's like, well, whatever. We're going to get the hell out of here. That's where I'm going to stop the spoiler free. We're only like halfway through the issue. I will be covering spoilers in this video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my spoiler free thoughts of what we've read so far. And then after that, I'm going to do a spoiler warning. I'm going to give you some time if you don't want to be spoiled. You can just like end the video at that point. And then after that, I'll do spoilers for the issue and then my thoughts on the spoilers. So, thoughts on the issue up to this point. I thought it was great. Artwork is still fantastic as always. I feel like Ultimate Spider-Man usually tends to go between two different artists. One of them does a really better job with the action scenes than the other. And I think that artist is the one doing this issue because the action scenes in here are pretty good. I love the dialogue. I like the non-romantic relationship that's building between Black Cat and Richard so far. Their interactions just seem kind of adorable in a way, in the sense that these are basically two kids who have kind of had this thrust upon them. Like Richards basically has the whole being a superhero thrust upon him because his dad's gone missing. Meanwhile, Black Cat is kind of forced to become a quote unquote super villain because her dad is injured. And so he's kind of forcing her to do it. Well, he's basically putting that responsibility on her, and she's doing it because she loves her dad. So I kind of like them bonding over that. I think the intrigue between the Mole Man and Mysterio and what they're doing with Peter and Harry is kind of interesting. Like the fact that Mole Man is willing to help Peter and Harry escape because he hates what Kraven is doing to his land. Meanwhile, Mysterio is okay with it and kind of willing to help because she has some kind of beef with one of these characters. And I'll cover that later on in the spoiler version. But I just found that kind of interesting. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. I really liked it. Those are my thoughts on that. Now we're going to go into spoiler territory. So here's a little spoiler warning. I'll do a 5-second countdown, and then we're going to go into spoiler territory. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can just end the video here. I hope you'll leave a like and subscribe and hit the bell if you haven't already. But yeah, we're going to go into spoiler territory in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So Kraven is able to catch up to Harry and Peter Parker, and now he has a Gatling gun. And we basically have a scene straight out of Predator where we see them like Mac mowing down the tree lines with a Gatling gun. That's basically what we get here. He's just mowing down the tree lines. And somehow Harry and Peter are able to dodge these bullets, which is just crazy. But yeah, plot armor, I guess. Peter is able to get Kraven's attention and basically leads them to where they have the booby trap. And that's when Harry throws a rock, which sets off one of the explosions and ends up blowing down Kraven, injures him. He has no weapons other than a knife. And so he starts attacking Peter. And Peter just beats the crap out of him. And I was like, all right, this is kind of sweet. Like, I was thinking Peter was going to get cucked in this fight. But no, Hickman seems to be doing a very good job of not cucking Peter at all. It's kind of funny because in the last issue, I even brought it up that there's an entire scene where Richard basically asked the AI Peter, have you been sleeping with mom while my dad's gone? And the AI is like, no, like I haven't touched her at all. That's one of the rules that Peter says, like, don't touch MJ. And even she's like against it. And I felt like while it was like a funny scene, it seemed too much. Like it was basically Hickman taking jabs. Yeah, you guys are cucking Peter in the 616 with Paul and all that stuff, but we're not doing that crap here. Like this is my series. This is my version of Peter. And Peter's not getting cucked in this. So I thought that was kind of cool. And yeah, Peter's not getting cucked in this fight either. This is a Peter Parker who's just like, I got to take out this guy because this guy knows me. He knows my wife, my kids. He's putting them in danger. If I don't stop him now, he's going to go after them next. He's straight up told me this. So Peter is not holding back. This isn't Peter like cutting one-liners and making little snappy quips. He's locked in and he's just beating the crap out of Kraven. And he grabs his gun, snaps it in half, mounts him, and just starts laying punches. And we even get a point where Harry's like, do it, Peter. Like, finish him off. You have to. And this is the one part I hated. I hate this freaking cliche where Peter's like, no, I'm not like him. We're not him. And I hate when heroes do this. I get why they do it. Like, you're trying to teach a message to the kids, forgiveness and all that stuff. But this is why I always like Frank Castle. Like, I like the characters who just are like, nah, we're just going to kill this dude. Like, this is an evil person. He's threatened my life. He's threatened the lives of my family. I am not going to allow him to leave alive. I'm going to kill this guy. And they do. I hate characters that do this, though. Well, I don't want to say I hate characters. I hate this trope. I hate this cliche where they're like, no, killing him would make me just as bad as him. It's like, no, it won't. You'd be doing the world a great service. Take him out. But Peter doesn't. And this backfires. This is what I mean when I say that this issue gets really crazy. Peter decides that he's not going to be a killer. He turns his back on Kraven. Kraven pulls out a gun, shoots. It hits Peter. And Peter's like completely surprised because he's like, I didn't feel any danger. I didn't get my spider sense. What the hell's going on? And Kraven starts laughing because he says, the reason why is because I wasn't aiming at you. You were just in the way. And he turns around and he sees Harry on the floor with a bullet in his head, dead. So Harry Osborn is dead. And Peter freaking loses it. And he starts beating the shit out of Kraven some more, and he's going to kill him. This, like I said, now he's going to kill Kraven. And I'm like, you should have done this earlier, dude. If you had done this earlier, your best friend wouldn't have been dead. But now he's dead. And that's when Mysterio pops up and says, you know what, me and you, we would normally be enemies, as our allegiances demand, but not in this moment and not in this case, because I'm more interested in him than you. I have plans for him. She's talking about Kraven. And he says, but if he dies, should he choose to continue beating him to death, then his end would mean my full attention would turn to you. I'm kind of wondering, what is it that Mysterio has planned for Kraven? What's her beef with him? When I mentioned that she seems to have some kind of beef with one of the characters, Kraven seems the one that she has a beef with. She has plans for him. She has her eyes on him. But if Peter kills Kraven, then she's going to dedicate all her focus onto Peter. So Peter's like, okay, well, I don't want that, but this guy killed my friend. And she says, yeah, and like your friend said, he's a killer, and that's what killers do. So you got to wonder, if he's good at it, what makes you think your loved ones are safe? How do you know he's not already sent someone to visit them? So that's when Peter is like, all right, I'm going to go home, make sure my family's okay. And he leaves. So he's able to make his escape from the Savage Land. I'm thinking that what they're doing here, this is just my theory, I could be completely wrong. I don't think Harry is dead. Even though he has a bullet in his head, Mysterio's standing right there. I think this is like an illusion. I'm thinking that maybe while he was beating on Kraven, that maybe she snuck up behind Harry, knocked him out or something. Or maybe she has him in an illusion. I believe she has Peter in an illusion for sure. Whether she has Harry in an illusion or she's knocked him out, I don't know. But I think basically, like, all this really happens. Maybe Harry really did get shot, but not in the head. I think Harry's still alive. And I think she put some kind of mojo on Peter to make him think that Harry is dead. This is just my belief on this. My other theory is going to be that Harry is going to think that Peter abandoned him. Harry is either going to, maybe he's an illusion of his own. Maybe he sees Peter running away instead of coming back to save him or help him. He doesn't know that Peter thinks he's dead, and Harry's going to think that Peter just abandoned him in the Savage Land. Or maybe Harry's going to think, I would have been dead if not for, I don't know, Mysterio helping me. Peter not going through with killing Kraven at the first chance he had, turning his back on Kraven instead of listening to me and finishing him off, almost got me killed. And so that's going to basically be the seeds that end up causing Peter and Harry to split from being allies. This is just my thought. I could be completely wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. But eventually Peter is able to get home. He's just completely messed up. I mean, he had taken a bullet to the torso, so he's kind of like bleeding out. And MJ finds him, and like a good wife, she cradles him. She's freaking out, but she's also like happy that he's back. She's asking like, where have you been? What's wrong? What's going on? I'm worried. Tell me what happened. Realizes that he's bleeding. I'm asking him like, hey, are you hurt? Like, what's going on? And Peter says, Harry's dead. I couldn't save him. They know who we are. We got to get the hell out of here. We got to run. And that's how the issue ends. So now the spoiler version of my thoughts. This issue was freaking fantastic. Like, the first half was good. I liked it. Second half, though, that's what really like just cinched it for me. Like, that was just, we have the intrigue between what does Mysterio want with Kraven, like what's going on there. Is there going to be any blowback with the Mole Man betraying Kraven? So that whole thing is very interesting. Black Cat and Richard, I already talked about that. Harry being dead. I don't think he's dead. That's just my theory. I don't think he really got shot in the head. I think it's an illusion. I mean, maybe this is going to be the swerve in that he really is dead, and that Mysterio being there didn't change anything. She didn't put up an illusion. But I don't think that's the case. I think he's alive. But just the fact that Peter thinks that he's dead, like, that's going to be crazy. I feel like this is the break in the relationship right here. And the fact that they got to go on the run now makes me think, okay, what's going to happen now? Peter's family knows about him being Spider-Man. Ben knows about it. J. Jonah Jameson knows about it. Is Peter going to tell them two of them, like, hey, this is what happened? What Peter going to tell Gwen? Like, how is that going to play out? Where are they going to go? So there's just like a lot of things here that I'm really excited to see where they're going to take this story. So I'm really looking forward to the next issue. This was fantastic. I freaking love this. And I said it before. I'm going to keep saying it. Read Ultimate Spider-Man if you haven't already. This is a fantastic series. Even if you're someone like me who has completely given up on Spider-Man because of the way Marvel treats them, this version of Spider-Man is awesome. This is the only version of Spider-Man that I'm reading because I hate every other iteration of Spider-Man, especially 616, that Marvel has. I just hate what Marvel has done to that character in the last few decades. It's terrible. But this is what I always wanted Spider-Man to be. I wanted Spider-Man to grow older, to have a loving relationship with his wife, MJ, to have kids, and just to see how that whole dynamic affects him being a superhero. The characters have been super well written. I love the changes with some of these characters. Even J. Jonah Jameson, like I love how him and Ben have like this friendship, and even just the way like J. Jonah Jameson kind of takes Richard under his wings at times. Like that whole friendship is kind of interesting. Like everything about the series is freaking fantastic. I have no negatives on this series, really. I might have had like minor nitpicks in the few issues in the past, but nothing that like spoils my fun. This is fantastic, and I highly recommend this series. There you go. There's Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 14. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.